Mr. Naveen Munjal is the managing director of Hero Eco Group. It's quite interesting. His profile is also very interesting. This group has global business interests in electric vehicles, bicycles, healthcare and rehabilitation products, real estate, fitness and sports equipment. As an entrepreneur, he is widely recognized for his role in shaping the Indian electric two-wheeler industry, as well as his contributions to various forums in the electric vehicle sphere, both in India and globally. Mr. Naveen Munjal has done his Masters in Business Administration with specialization in international marketing from Huron University in London and apprenticed with Land Rover in West Midlands, UK. A visionary and dynamic entrepreneur, he has experience of working in various sectors: automotive, bicycles, business process outsourcing, international markets, and electric vehicles. Under Mr. Munjal's leadership, Hero Electric became a pioneer with a number of first-of-its-kind initiatives, such as introduction of the concept of electric vehicle assistance, EVA, the only kind of mobile service for electric two-wheelers in India, extra miles, range extender option for those who needed a longer range per charge, charging stations for electric vehicles, high-speed bikes, introduction of lithium-ion and other advanced batteries, e-rickshaws, etc. In 2008, he was instrumental in founding the Society of Manufacturers of Electric Vehicles, which he now chairs as its president, and he is known as a thought leader in electric vehicle industry worldwide. May I now request Mr. Naveen Munjal to kindly come onto the dais for a fireside chat which would be conducted by Professor Vishal Talwar, Dean, School of Management. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Naveen Munjal, for coming here today. I believe this happened about 10 years back when you actually took a bet on the electric vehicle industry. You were shaping the future and the destiny of sustainability in this country, at least from an electric mobility perspective, and much more. How did all this happen?
Thank you, Dr. Talwar. I'm just going to answer that. But first, I just want to congratulate all of you on a wonderful event today and a beautiful campus. I mean, this is a lovely campus, brings back a lot of fond memories of my being in the university earlier. So, congratulations for an excellent campus and an excellent university here. Coming back to my journey, actually, it's been a lot longer than that. It's a lot longer than 10 years. So we actually started looking at electric mobility way back in 2000. And at that point, it was way too early for its time. 2000, 2001 is when we actually launched electric cycles in India. And the whole idea was that a person who's graduating from a bicycle, who's using a bicycle, and then was jumping straight onto a motorcycle or a scooter, what happens in between? Can we bridge the gap in between? Can we launch a product whereby it eases his usage of a bicycle, his travel on a bicycle, because he's carrying heavy loads when you look at semi-urban or even rural. And can we launch a product which is going to fit in between? And after that, he's going to graduate onto a scooter or a motorcycle. When we actually launched these products, the price points were about 1,500 rupees for a cycle with a black roadster bicycle, and then 44,000 for a motorcycle or scooter, which is now about 65,000-70,000. And so we thought, okay, if we launch a product at about 20,000, is that person going to go from a bicycle to an electric bicycle and then on to a scooter and a motorcycle? Didn't quite work that way. So one of the first failures that we faced, the consumer wasn't willing to buy an electric bicycle, and we couldn't understand why. 2004, again we launched, again didn't buy, didn't work. Technology also wasn't so evolved at that point of time. And then 2007, when we launched our electric scooters, that's when we realized the mistake. So the biggest mistake that we were making is the Indian consumer, as other consumers, is a very aspirational consumer. So he wants to go from a cycle to a scooter. For him, going from a cycle to a cycle, whether it's electric, is not growth. So he wanted to graduate. The minute we launched scooters, the market began to take off. And then the market started changing from cycles to electric scooters, and then they would go on to IC engine, or in a lot of cases now they're not even buying IC engine, they're buying electric scooters straight away, simply because of various reasons. So it's been an interesting journey. So we really got commercial about 12 years back. And we've seen a huge amount of ups and downs along the way. So we've seen growth and then we've seen a complete crash, which happened in 2010-11. We formed the Electric Vehicle Association in 2009, basically to talk to the government on policies and what is happening in the EV sector, because nobody really understood it. Technology is evolving. It is still a maturing technology. It's still not evolved completely, but it's far superior to what it was, of course, 10 years back. And now we can see the buzzword is electric, because we have to clean up the environment. But at that point, I mean, nobody was talking about it, so it was a huge uphill battle for the first many years, till I think probably about 3 years back, 3-4 years back. It's only now when we've realized that the environment is getting so badly affected, and we are such an oil-reliant economy. I don't know if you know the statistics or not, but 75% of our oil is imported. So the amount of money that we're spending on oil, plus every liter of fuel that we burn, is 2.5 liters of carbon dioxide that we're pumping into the air. And right now is the appropriate time to see what's happening with the pollution outside. There are numerous factors. Mobility is not just the only one, but nevertheless, everything works, everything helps.
So do you think there's been a change in the customer mindset? Do you think consumers are now looking for alternatives?
There is a change in customer mindset. We ourselves have gone through various messages that we've been passing to the consumer. So we started off with being technology because we thought, that's what's going to work with the customer. It didn't really work. Then we started talking about the ecology, the environment. And I'm going back now about 7-8 years back. At that point of time, the customer didn't really understand the environment bit. He didn't really talk about the ecology bit. Eventually, we started talking, as a lot of other companies do, on efficiency and ease of use. Now we've gone back to talking about the environment, being a responsible citizen. The smart move is how we tag our vehicles. Because you made a smart move for various reasons. It could be because of a cost factor, it could be efficiency, it could be ease of use, or it could be the environment. There is a very, very large population of our buyers who are now coming and talking to us about the reason why they are buying it is because, okay, there's ease of use, but I'm also doing my bit for the environment. The younger generation coming in, so if you look at India, if you look at Delhi, if you look at India, in the last many years, there's been a drastic change, and the biggest change that we can see actually is Diwali. Now, bursting of crackers is completely, it's only on that day, and it's highly limited now. Whereas if you go back 20 years or even 15 years back, the amount of firecrackers we used to burn, including us as youngsters, was huge. And now the younger generation is telling us that, we've had enough. We don't want you to pollute our environment any longer. In fact, my children start crying, my daughter starts crying if anybody even mentions getting firecrackers at home. And that's the case with this younger generation. So that's what the schools have taught us. And my children go to the Mr. Bharat Ram school, Sri Ram, and that's what they're learning. So all these schools, that's what they're learning from the schools, about the environment, about the pollution, about the space that you're living in, making it a cleaner space. And also if you look at it from our own perspective, not just coming from my side or my staff or my dealers or this thing, even when you talk to customers, a lot of customers that I interact with, and I interact with a lot of them, on why you're buying an electric vehicle versus IC, they will say कि वो easy है use करने में, उसमें battery आप घर पे charge करो, जाके use करो and वापस आके charge करो. But at the end of it, they also conclude by saying कि we are leaving a better environment for our children. So I think there is a huge amount of there is awareness amongst people on the environment factors, because we're all seeing it, we're all affected by it. There is no caste or creed or social economic status or strata where you're not affected by the pollution and by the environment that we are in. So
I absolutely agree. Even my small 4-year-old daughter, she suddenly tells me in the morning that switch off the, put off the tap or whatever. You're wasting water. And then the other day she said, crackers please, no firecrackers at all. So I'm sure there's hope for the generations. Of course, if we leave them much behind, I think that's the other race against time issue. So, what memories do you have about, Shri Brijmohan Lall Munjal, the founder? Any things that you learned from him over the years?
A very long list. So where do I start? So, when we were in Ludhiana, and all of us are from Ludhiana, so our house and in Model Town in Ludhiana, they were connected back to back by a lane in between, an alley in between. So all our childhood time, we used to be running back and forth through that lane to where Sunil Chacha and Suman Chacha and everybody and BM Chacha and Mr. O.P. Munjal, they used to all stay in that house, and we used to stay in the one across. And so we used to always spend our childhood running back and forth and going in. If we didn't like food in our house, we would go back to that house and see what's there, and then eat something from there. Or if their snacks were better than ours, go and eat there. Numerous things that I've actually learned from him through our interactions. There are a lot of things that you learn subconsciously, and there are things that you learn consciously, and now you start thinking about, okay, that's the way that he used to work. One of the great factors which he had was about respecting everybody. Now, it does not matter what strata you come from, it does not matter where you come from, it does not matter what you do, whether you're a worker or you're a managing director of a company or you're a joint venture partner. The respect he had for everybody was absolutely huge. The second thing was, he was always imparting knowledge. You've learned so much, you've gathered so much in your lifetime, you've built up businesses. So obviously there's a lot of, it's a ton of knowledge in there. We're not even able to scratch the surface of how much knowledge there would have been. And he used to constantly be imparting knowledge to people in a very selfless manner on how to do things right. I remember once I was traveling in the car with him, and there was this guy selling pens on the roadside. And so he came to sell pens, so he gave him money. But he also told him, that isko aise nahi, isko aise karo, isko ye nahi, isko ye karo. So he was, imparting knowledge to him, even in those 90 seconds that we were standing at that traffic light. And so that's how he was. The other thing that I learned from him, and which I've tried to use in my business as well, because I've seen a lot of ups and downs in my electric vehicles, is how they sustained and how they strived and worked, how they through thick and thin. Times were not easy when they came in. They came with nothing on their backs. They came with just shirts on their backs when they came from Pakistan. And yet they were able to build it. So because they had no fallback option, the problem that we have with our generation and with our thing is that we've got a fallback option. If this doesn't work, I'll do something else. So perseverance is something that I really learned from him. If you believe that what you're doing is right, then that is, you have to persevere. You have to just keep on hitting at it time and time again. And as Sunil Chacha said, if you fall down, you just have to get up and start running. If you're not going to, so there is no guarantee for success. If you get up and start running, it's not guaranteed that success will be there for you. But the chances of success are much higher than if you just sit down and say, okay, I'm not going to get up. Then it's a sure shot failure. So nobody can predict failure versus success. The biggest minds in the world and the best businesses and brands, we've seen Kodaks and Nokias and everything, have failed. But what is guaranteed is if you don't get up, you've certainly got failure in your hands. So you get up and run, you've got a chance of making it a success. And that's what I always believe.
And you're absolutely right. I think it's important that we as universities or institutions otherwise also make our students prepared to accept failure, learn from failure, and move on. I think that's something that maybe it's because of this whole transition from a resource-constrained society into resource excess one day. But you're absolutely right. It's not just about success, but also failure as well. You talked about childhood, and you mentioned about childhood. How was your schooling days? I heard somewhere that once you suddenly maybe jumped off the wall from school, or maybe just walked out, and people had to search everywhere where you were. Yeah, the students don't listen.
These are secrets not to be let out. I wonder where these secrets are coming out from. I can see somebody who's been letting out. No, so schooling, I was actually in a boarding school. So I was in a boarding school since I was 9 years old, and I stayed there all through. And I was in Royal School Star. And obviously it's not easy, leaving home and going and staying in a boarding school. And that too in a very, very tough military school. So now things have changed a lot. Now if you actually rap somebody on the knuckles, there's probably going to be cops standing outside to take you away. But at that point of time, it was, if you didn't get caned on a regular basis, or if you didn't get beaten by your seniors on a regular basis, you weren't strong enough. So what I learned from my school, and my school motto was never give in, and send him to Snar and make a man of him or him. And that's exactly what we learned. So we went through all the hardships and everything. And yes, there was an incident where I actually and two other friends, so we used to get beaten up by these seniors. and hugely ragged. And so we were the vigilantes, we were the volunteers. Everyone pushed us and we said, yes, we have to do something about it. So what can we do? As juniors, what can you do against your seniors? There's little that you can do. So we said, somebody has to run away from school. Yes, somebody has to run away from school. So 3 of us volunteered to run away from school. So we ran away on a Friday afternoon. Went down to, at that time there were no mobile phones. So we walked a number of kilometers, took a bus down to Chandigarh, called our parents from there. One of the dealers there, they came, picked us up, took us to their home. The next morning there was a car to take us to Ludhiana. That's on a Saturday morning, we went to Ludhiana. So parents said, what happened? So we said, we got really badly beaten up in school and everything. Sure, that's not good. On Sunday we were back in school, on Monday morning we were back in class, and on Monday evening we were getting beaten up again.
Just to tell everyone, we are part of the caned generation. We're all part of the cane generation, and that's something which I'm sure a lot of you can't identify with, but I had a lot of friends in school who would carry very thick textbooks along with them, just to kind of put it at the back so that, Anyway, thank you very much. So, tell me a little bit about the policy right now. At least from my perspective, there's been a bit of back and forth as far as the electric policy is concerned. Where do you think this is heading?
This policies, this is going all over the place. The government, see what we have to realize is that in India, we have this saying, and all of us say it, we grow and we have this growth rate in spite of the government. It's the same thing here. So the government does want to move in the right direction, which is to say that, we have to get away from oil economy, we have to get into cleaner vehicles, we have to get into zero emission vehicles. But there's a lot of flip and flop which happens along the way. So what we did is, we said, okay, can we build, and first and foremost, and that's, I don't know how many students are here, but that's another thing for you to understand, that you cannot build businesses based on either policies or subsidies, because those are things which will keep on changing. So that's the lesson which I've learned in the last 12 odd years of being in this business, because policies keep on changing, subsidies keep on changing. They'll happen, not happen, there's restrictions that will happen, not happen. And India's an economy which is very fluid in a way that of the decisions. We know that long term we want to get there, but how we're going to get there, and in between mistakes will be made. So what we've done actually is we've tried to make our business as policy or as subsidy proof as we possibly could, to say that we know for a fact that electrification has to happen. And that's not the end all. We have to go into zero emissions. Right now, electric is the best answer or the best technology available. But going forward, it could be something else. It could be solid-state batteries, it could be hydrogen fuel cell, it could be something completely different, which we don't even know about at this point of time, maybe in the next 30 years. But the fact is that we have to go towards, and we have to move towards zero emissions. That is a given. So if that is what is known, and that we are in a way, if you look at it, we are the ones setting the path, and which is what keeps us going, me and my team and my dealers, and including my family, who've trusted on me to be able to take such decisions for so long. So we know that it is going to be a zero emission economy. If it's going to be a zero emission economy, then policies right now are not really going to be a hindrance. All they're going to do is put you back by a year or 2 years. But if you look at the bigger scheme of things, if you look at it, so when we started this, we looked at what's going to happen 10 years from then. Now when we are building up our infrastructure, when we're building up our plants, etc., we're looking at, okay, what's going to happen in the next 10 years? And even if these certain factors don't happen, does it still make sense for us? And for us, it makes absolute sense. So when I talk to our dealers, when I talk to our employees, when I talk to even our customers, and they all say that, we believe in you, we believe that this is going to happen. So if everybody is believing that this is what's going to happen, then policies will fall in place eventually.
Okay. So if you talk about business leadership or corporate leadership, what are the common mistakes that you see corporate leaders making on a continuous basis, or it's been the most common reasons for why businesses at times lose steam or they fail?
One of the factors is the flavor of the season. You look at the last 10 years, what's the flavor of the season? Right now it's electric mobility, before this it was cryptocurrency, before that it was tech. Before that, it was this thing. And you've got companies and businesses who've got nothing to do with any of these areas suddenly jumping in simply because it's a flavor of the season and they think that that's the big thing that's going to happen. It doesn't happen that way. So businesses are built. So in our office, for example, in the lift thing, so we've got a branding there which says there's no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. So that is a given. So there is no shortcut to success. You have to build. Success comes only by building it brick by brick by brick by brick. You have to lay a strong foundation. If you don't have a strong foundation, nothing's going to work. And there's a lot of these companies. We meet so many companies at conferences, at exhibitions who come and meet us, who've got nothing to do with mobility in any shape or form, who've got nothing to do with tech. We want to manufacture lithium-ion batteries. So you say, okay, how are you going to manufacture? What is your capability in manufacturing lithium-ion batteries? What you have known that we believe is going to be the future, so we want to jump into it. That's not the right way to do it. Diversification is good, and you should diversify, but then you have to have a long-term approach. The second thing that a lot of people make, mistakes that people make, is not getting up. If you've made a wrong decision, it's okay. When you take a decision, it can be a right decision or it could be a wrong decision. But that doesn't mean that you stop taking decisions. The third factor, and in India it's seen more as a taboo, but if you look at the West, is people who fail in businesses and get up and run again. I don't know how many of you know not, but the President of the United States, his companies have declared bankruptcy 6 times. Now 6 times to be able to declare bankruptcy, yet get up and run with it, and then become the leader of the world, so to speak. That's no mean feat. So you have to believe what you're doing, you have to have a long-term vision, a long-term goal, and just strive towards that. There will be obstacles along the way, but you have to cross those.
I think that's absolutely well said. What guidance would you want to give, or what some wisdom would you like to give to a lot of the students here who are looking at the future of work as slightly uncertain environments? Because we keep talking about automation, we keep talking about robotics, AI, and so on and so forth. So a lot of them at times have this whole notion about what's my career going to look like, how should I prepare for it?
See, when we look at our business, electric mobility, for example, there is no set goal, there's no set precedence on how we should actually structure our business. What is going to happen? So like you said, policies for that matter. If you look at China, electric mobility, there it happened because the government pushed it. They used a carrot and stick approach. If you look at the West, their electric mobility is happening because the people want it that way. They want a clean environment. India is completely different. India works on a completely different tangent. Here you'll have a person who's going to buy a Rolls Royce and then ask about the average that the vehicle is going to give you. So India, you have to work in a very, very different methodology. You have to use a very different methodology. Now when you, as students, when you go out, the world it's completely open. It's out there for you. So when you look at businesses and when you look at technologies and when you look at what you're going to be doing, there are certain fundamental factors which are not going to change. So when I look at it, for example, and I say that, look, if that's what happened in mobility 30 years back or 40 years back when Hero-Honda collaboration happened, and that's how the transition happened, that same thing is going to happen now as well. A similar thing. It may be in a different platform, but a similar methodology is going to be utilized. So one, there is no shortcut to hard work. So that's a given. Second, technology will keep on evolving and will keep on changing, so you just have to stay not ahead of the curve, but abreast of what's happening. Because to stay ahead, then that means you're in a different space altogether in terms of the R&D and all of that stuff. But you have to stay abreast of what's happening. So one, read. There's no substitution for reading. The second thing, the next thing that I would say is that when you're in any business, anything that you get into, whether it is your own business as an entrepreneur or you're working for somebody, there are certain times when the decisions are not the right ones that you take. You take a decision or you take a step and it goes off into a wrong direction. Don't let that deter you, because there will be times that you take wrong decisions, you make mistakes, but learn from those mistakes. And the next time just ensure that you don't make the same mistake again. Sure, you can make another mistake, but don't make that same mistake too many times. That's not okay. The next thing is that believe in what you're doing and enjoy what you're doing. There's no point in you not enjoying what you're doing, because then you're doing it as a job. And that in the long term is one of the biggest regrets that one has. So enjoy what you're doing. And another one that I would suggest and what I would recommend, and which is what I do as well, there are times when it gets very stressful at work. There are so many things, so many things going against you. It's just a bad day. What do you really do? So you should have a passion which is outside of your work. Now it could be anything. It could be reading, it could be photography, it could be music, it could be anything at all. Have a passion which is outside of your work, where you can go back to. That's your safe zone or safe space or whatever it is. So for me, it's photography. I love photography. The other day, somebody was asking me if I meditate, and I said I think I do, because when I take my camera and I go out and I'm taking pictures of people on the street or elsewhere, for me that's meditative. You're focused. What is meditation? In a way, it's focusing on a particular object. Now, that maybe at that point, on that light or whatever it is, or decluttering your mind, and that's exactly what it is. What photography is for me. So have a passion outside of your work where you can go and de-stress, and which can just take you away from. It's not a bad thing to have passion, actually. There's numerous people I've met who said, but hobby hoegi to kaam kaise karoge? It's not bad to have a hobby, and it's not bad to have a passion, because that's what makes you grow.
True. Not bad to have a passion, absolutely. I think since you talked about our value-conscious society, or kitna deti hai wala concept, even if you're selling a Mercedes, I'm reminded of this exchange between a Twitter follower with Mr. Anand Mahindra. I think about 6 months back, they launched an electric variant of a car, which is obviously premium. And within that, one of the followers said, kitna deti hai? Premium car, kitna hai? So, and then obviously Anand Mahindra, is known for some good conversation. So he says, electric hai, shock deti hai. So I think, I guess this whole idea of value consciousness of society, that's something that is quite difficult to get away from. But is your best yet to come?
Absolutely. The day you're done away with your best, or your best is done, that's a game over for you. So best is absolutely yet to come. We've only just begun the journey. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your time. Absolute pleasure to listen to you, and hope to see you again very soon at the university. Thank you.